Hello and welcome to week 33 of the Country Garden Crochet Along, and this week we're going to be making another of our corner pieces, and we're going to be using the braided cable stitch. So how do we make it? So we're going to be starting this one with a foundation chain of 21, and as I had before, I've marked that first chain from my hook, which will be our first top of our first stitch in a minute. Okay, so in the fourth chain from your hook, I'm going to make a double crochet. So I'm afraid we have a few boring setup rows before we actually start the pattern proper, but it does get more interesting. So we're going to double crochet in every stitch across. Okay, so remember that turning chain counts as your first stitch. So when we've got to the end, we'll have 19 stitches in total, all double crochet. Okay, so the braided cable, it is a cable stitch, but it's one of the smaller ones, and it's a fairly simple cable, and as with all cables, it's made with front post stitches that cross each other at various points. So cables can look intimidating, but once you get how they work, they're not so bad. It's all the skip stitches and going back to them that I think causes the muddle, but they are very pretty. Okay, some almost at the end here. Grab some more yarn. And there we go. So 19 double crochet. Then we're going to turn, chain one, and make a double crochet turning chain. Let's grab another stitch marker. And row 2 is another row of double crochet. Okay, so this row is the one we'll start to make our front post stitches in. So this is row 2. Row 3 is going to be a single crochet row. For this cable, you don't work into the single crochet row, it's just separating our working rows. So row 4 is where we start our pattern proper. So once you get to the end of this row, you're going to turn, chain one, make a single crochet in the first stitch, and then single crochet in each stitch across. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this row and row 3 of single crochet. I finished row 3, which is the row of single crochet, and now I'm going to turn, chain one, and I'm going to make a double crochet turning chain in the first stitch. So this is the row we're going to start our cable. Just move my stitch marker up. Okay, so you got your double crochet turning chain, and now you're going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches as well. 1 and 2. Okay, so in the next stitch we're going to make a front post treble, and you're going to make it around the double crochet 2 rows below. So sometimes that can be confusing, so I always count my stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you're making it around the post of the 4th double crochet 2 rows below, and it's a front post treble. Okay, now we're going to skip the next stitch. So we missed that stitch. That's our front post stitch. We're going to skip this stitch. Okay, and then we're going to make a front post treble in the next 2 stitches. Skip. Yep, around this one. So skip this post here and make it around the next post. So 1 and 2 front post trebles. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the skipped stitch here and make a front post treble. So there we go, and that cross there is our cable. So we've got one more front post treble to make, and that is in the next, around the next double crochet. So that's the one we last worked in. So there's, we made our last front post treble, and we go into the next unworked double crochet around that post and make a front post treble. And there we go. So that's our first repeat. So this is where I have to count my stitches every time because it can be easy to lose track. So we should have just done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 front post trebles. So we haven't worked into 5 of the single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one here, number 6, is the one we're working into. And I'm going to make a double crochet into the single crochet row, and then I'm going to make another 2 double crochet as well. So especially with this first cable row, I would definitely always count your stitches. The first row is always the trickiest, and it's easy to start working in the wrong stitch, so I take the extra time and just do some counting. It really does help, but it's much easier after this first row. Right, so next we're going to make a front post treble. So we're going to repeat what we've just done. So we not worked in those 3 stitches, so it's this 4th double crochet that we're going to make our front post treble around. There we go, so you should have 3 unworked double crochet from there. Okay, so now we skip a stitch and front post treble in the next 2 stitches. There's 1 and 2. Okay, so now we go back to that skipped stitch, so that unworked post that we passed over. We're going to go back to that and do a front post treble. And then we go back to the next unworked double crochet back this way. So there's our last worked double crochet post with a front post treble around it. I'm going to go to the next unworked one and make another front post treble. And that should leave us with 3 unworked double crochet. Okay, so that's our second cable repeat there. So we can count backwards this time. 1, 2, 3. So that 3rd single crochet from the end of the row, make a double crochet, and then double crochet in your last 2 stitches. And that is row 4 complete. There you go. And you've got your cables starting to appear there. you're going to turn and chain 1 and make a single crochet in the first stitch. So row 5 is just nice easy single crochet row. And you're just going to make a single crochet in every stitch. Okay, so just work into the tops of the stitches as normal, and you just work them in the order that they come in. No need to worry about anything else. So you should have 19 single crochet in total at the end of the row. Last 2. Okay, so nice and easy row 5. When you've done that, you can turn, and you can see that single crochet row has pulled everything up, and your cables look a little bit clearer than they did before. So row 6, we're essentially repeating row 3, except instead of working into a double crochet row, we're going to be working around our front post trebles from row 4. Okay, so we start the row with chain 1 and make our double crochet turning chain in the first stitch. And then double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. Okay, so we're going to make our first front post treble around the front post treble 2 rows below. Oops. Now we skip a stitch, which is this one here. We make our next front post treble around this one. And then make a front post treble around the next stitch as well, which is there. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our skip stitch. So we just push those to one side. There's the front post treble that we skipped, and we're going to work around that one. And then one last front post treble around this one here. So those are the 2 we've already done. We're going to go to the next unworked stitch and make a front post treble there. Okay, so you should now have these 2 crossing bars here with our front post trebles going up there. Okay, you can see the cable starting to come through now. Okay, so our next 3 stitches are double crochet. Okay, and they are going to be above the 3 unworked double crochet there. So is that one? So you still need to count to find them. Sometimes it's good to do just a double check, but they should be in line. So you make 3 double crochet. Okay, and then we start the repeat the pattern again. So we make a front post treble around the front post treble we did 2 rows below. There's the first one. We skip the next stitch, which is there, and we're going to be working around this front post treble, which is poking out from behind that crossed one. Let's make that there. And then make the next front post treble around the one that's crossing everything else. Then we're going to go back, so we push the two just onto one side, we see that unworked front post treble there, and we're going to make our next front post treble around that. Okay, so go back to the other side to our final unworked front post treble and make the last front post treble of the row, and then you're going to make a double crochet in the last 3 stitches. Okay, and that is row 6 complete. Okay, so you can really see the pattern starting to come through. You're going to get a series of these crossed braided cables going up. Okay, so this row piece has 23 rows in total, and you're going to be repeating rows 5 and 6. So your odd numbered rows are going to be single crochet rows, and your even numbered rows will be cable rows. Okay, so you're going to do that up to row 23. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this piece. Okay, so the repeats of rows 5 and 6, and I shall see you when I get to the end of row 23. Okay, so I've finished the final row, and I've got this lovely cable going all the way up. Okay, so after your 23rd row, you can cut off and weave in your ends, and that is week 33 complete. So then you've just got to attach it to your main piece. So this one goes between the boblet panel and the ribbon stitch, and across the short side it's 1 whip stitch to every stitch, and down the sides it's 2 whip stitches for every double crochet row, and then 1 whip stitch for every single crochet row. Okay, and just whip those together. And that is it for this week. So I shall see you next time for week 34. Bye for now.